Hey guys, it's Hardway back for part 2 of what I would change about the Master Chief Collection prior to Infinite coming out. So in the first part, I talked about some of the higher level, like big picture changes I wanted to see, and I'm going to start like honing in on some of the more specific stuff in this part of the video. I'm going to start off with some rotational playlists that I would like to see, be it ranked or social. First of all, I'm a huge fan of the rotational playlists. Their addition has been so nice. However, I think a lot of them have been lacking some imagination, or just not covering the breadth of game types that they probably should. Because, you know, we've seen shoddy snipers like 46 times already. Like, Griffball has been back a bunch of times. Like, I understand those are popular, but there's some stuff that really should be... that we should have seen by now that we haven't seen, especially in ranked. Like, we should have had 2 weeks of ranked snipers or ranked SWAT a long time ago. I don't know why we can't get that. Them adding in Recon Slayer, that was really cool. Like, that's kind of what I'm talking about, where just throw us something new, something different to play for a little while, and then take it away so it doesn't dilute the player pool. Which is what they've been doing with the skins and things to drive traffic into a particular part of ranked. I think that's a phenomenal idea. I hope they keep doing that. But there's a lot more that they could do, and a lot of stuff that's been left out. So let me jump into it. The first one that I want to see, huge bias incoming, but I desperately want to see a ranked 4v4 Halo CE playlist. I want to see that so badly. I came up during Halo 1. That's when I started playing. And I just like... being able to actually play a game of Halo 1 4v4 back in the day was... I can't tell you how special of an occasion that would have been if you were lucky enough to do it. Especially with some settings that don't completely suck. Because most of the people back then, if they ever did get to do it, it was like a once-in-a-lifetime LAN, and they probably played Blood Gulch for 2.5 hours. Like, but to actually get a play like Chill Out Oddball and Derelict King of the Hill and stuff like that, like pretty good 4v4 game types, Rat Race Team Slayer, you know, stuff like that, especially competitively, like against an evenly matched team, most people in the world have not ever had that before. Now, we can play those in social now, and skill-based matchmaking has allowed for some really good sweaty games in that. But we've never had ranks to play for before, and I just think that like only a few people have ever been to a Halo 1 4vs4 tournament, and if they have, it was 17 years ago. So I just think it would be so cool to have, even if it's only for a couple of weeks. And it would just offer something really unique. I think Halo 1 4v4 is capable of being played at a high level. I think it holds up. A lot of people want to whine and cry about the spawn system, but once you understand how it works, it's pretty controllable, especially if you're all working together and communicating. So yeah, I would love to see that. Maybe just trim the game types a little bit, like trim off a third of the game types and really only have the best of the best in there. But yeah, that could be something really, really special. What do we have next? The other one that I want to see the most, that I dearly, dearly miss, I want to see multi-team come in. Like, the only Halo game that doesn't support it is Halo 1. So we should have a rotational multi-team bucket in the match composer that features 2, 2A, 3, 4 reach, and oh my god, I would play the crap out of that. That'd be great, because I haven't gotten to play it for Halo 2. They had a really good one in Halo 2 back in the day, but I haven't gotten to play it in probably 13 years now, and it was good. They had like 4 teams of 3, so 12 total players, like neutral flag on Warlock or Foundation. That's a good time, man. That is a good time. And we could have this in Halo 3. Halo 3 had the teams of 2, which is not my preference, but it was still pretty fun. Like there's good memories of that. I played a ton of Reach multi-team. I initially I hated Rocket Hog Race, but once the group of guys I played multi-team with, once we played it enough, we all got kind of good at it. I started winning them pretty frequently. I'm like, all right, there's something to this game type. You actually can be pretty good at it. So I grew to love it. And I never got to play multi-team in 4. Nobody's ever really gotten to play multi-team in 2 Anniversary, unless they did it in a custom game. And there's just so much potential there to just play some excellent stuff. And we've never seen it. It's there waiting for us. It'd be something new. I'd love to see it. But, hold on, I'm fighting my phone here, 1 second. What else would I like to see? Some new stuff that we've never seen before. I would love to see an objective Team Snipers playlist. Doesn't got to be ranked. We can just try it in the match composers for a little while. Just give it a week or something. But I want to see what like Snipers CTF plays like, or Snipers Oddball. Just give us a whole playlist that's only objective game types with snipers. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Nobody's played that. Like, let's give that a shot. And you could do the same thing with SWAT. How about a rotational playlist of VIP for Halo 3, except the settings don't suck dick this time around. Like, if you've ever like looked through the options of what's possible in Halo 3 VIP, that game mode could be so deep and rich if somebody just took the time to forge maps specifically for it and made the settings like imaginative. There's so much potential with that. You could have like a get your VIP from A to B, like across Sandtrap, limited lives modes. You could have you could make it be like 2 VIP, like 1 VIP per team, and play like a March for Death, like Titanfall type mode, essentially Team Regicide in Halo 3. You could do either one of those, like, or you could do like the one-sided mode where you have to just keep your VIP alive, which we've seen before, but the settings were trash in that, where it was like a 4-minute rounds, and the VIP's shield took 8 days to come back, and you spawned with a Magnum and an AR, and you played it on narrows, and it wasn't even sided spawns, so you could just like spawn like right next to the VIP on your second life. Like, it was terrible. It was fucking terrible and so poorly made, but it could have been good if it was just well done. All of those things, all 3 different modes of playing that I just talked about are possible, and we've never seen them. I think there's some decent VIP available in the asset denial bucket for Halo 3 right now, but it's still underutilized. There's still other ways to play it that could be really fun, and I think we should explore that. What else? What else we got? I think Ricochet needs to see some more focus. I think it's a really good game type, especially if you modify the goals like I've talked about in the past, to where it's not a cube, but it's a plane, a 2-dimensional plane that requires some actual aim to throw the ball in, and it's raised off the ground so that you won't get credit for roll-ins. And there's 10-second respawns like it should be, because it's an objective game type. Ricochet could be so good. It's almost excellent already. Like, it's still really fun even with bad settings. It could be outstanding. Make that as a rotational, and then what I would like to see in addition to that is like not just Ricochet, but for like Halo 3 and Halo 2, some like speed assault with like instant arm, but the nav, the waypoint is always on the ball. So it's just like a really fast-paced assault, and then just jack up the score limit to like 5 arms or something for every map. But just like, yeah, a super fast-paced assault where you kind of need a goalie to stay behind and block for like a quick reversal if the ball pushes down long haul and pit or something, and your team's out of position for it. And make it so that like the ball carrier isn't even slowed down, and they move the same speed as everybody else. So it's just a really fast-paced assault. I think that would be a really fun rotational as well. And have that share the same ranked rotational as Ricochet, so that you can play it across 2, 3, 2A, 4, and Reach. BTB Ricochet. We've never seen it. Why have we never seen it? It could happen right now. We could have that today. and no one has played it outside of like maybe some really niche BTB customs. Most people have never played 8v8 Ricochet on like Ragnarok or something like that. It could be fantastic, and I don't think it would be very hard to make. I would, just make it so you can't drive with the ball, so nobody's like getting in a Banshee with the ball and like hiding out of the map with it. Like, there's certain things you would definitely have to look out for, but I think it'd be very easy to make that and have that fresh content no one's played. Mayhem for every game. They made my dreams come true, putting in the Mayhem settings for Halo 1, 8v8 on 4v4 maps. It is a blast. If you've never played it, the way that you find it is you search 8v8 Halo 1 in the action sack bucket, and you will get 8v8 on like Beaver Creek and Derelict and Hang 'em High. It is so much freaking fun. We could have that in every game. We could play 8v8 Lockout and Sanctuary and Isolation, and there's no reason why we couldn't do that. It would take some effort, it would take some play testing, but it's there waiting for us for every game. It's fresh content. We could have it. I think a lot of people just don't know about Mayhem in Halo 1 because there's no icon for it. It's hiding under the action sack button. So they need to design a UI element specifically for it and then add it to every game so people know what it is and what they're looking for. I hope somebody hears that just now and didn't know Mayhem existed and they can't wait to go try it. You are in for a treat, man. It is so much freaking fun. And just imagine playing that in every Halo game. I would like to see some limited life modes. Not necessarily one life modes, but like maybe like some 3 life modes. Those can be really fun sometimes. You do have to structure it in a way to where people aren't sitting out for like a really long period of time if they die too early, or really so that they're maybe like try to structure it in a way so they're not sitting out for any longer than like 90 seconds. So make it round based, give them 3 lives instead of 1, and then have each round be like a maximum of like 2 or 3 minutes, and then make it objective. Don't make it won't work if it's Slayer. Please God, don't do this for Slayer. But if you did it for like King of the Hill with like a really low score limit, like say 30 seconds, and each round limit is like 3 minutes long, and everybody gets 3 lives. So there's like multiple different win conditions. You can wipe out the other team, you can hit the score limit, or you could have more time when the round limit ends. I think there's room for that. I think it could work really well. This could be for like neutral flag as well, or neutral bomb. There's multiple ways you could do this and have it be really fun. I've done it in customs. It's a good time. But yeah, you need to be really careful with the settings so that people aren't just sitting there forever waiting for the next round. Let's see. The last thing my last idea for a rotational before I move on, I've always wanted to try playing King of the Hill where with every man count scoring, so that if you have 2 guys in the hill, you're earning 2 seconds at a time. If you have 4 guys in the hill, you're earning 4 seconds at a time. I think it has built-in risk versus reward. It drastically changes the gameplay. You would have to bump up the score limit. I would recommend playing to an unlimited score limit and just reducing the time limit to like 10 minutes. And just watching these like crazy comebacks come in, these huge swings of momentum where a team could be up by like 80 seconds, and then they lose one bad hill where the other team has like 3 guys stuffed in it for the entire time, and then like there's huge score changes. I think that could be a lot of fun, and it would be great as a rotational so that people could see it on its own and know that they're playing something different from what they've always played before. Plus, it might actually teach these fucking kids that play King of the Hill now that you don't need 2 people in the hill currently. If you're listening to this right now and you have a teammate already standing in the hill and you come stand in it with them, you are stupid. Please don't do that. Like, that is one of my biggest pet peeves of like every random in King of the Hill ever. I'll be getting time and he just like comes and gives me a hug. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll leave now since you're gonna do this. Like, instead of covering me. Oh yeah, God, we need like a PSA about that. But anyways, okay, rotational playlists, we're done. On to like changes with the game that I still want to see. I'm still holding my breath for like these bug fixes or stuff like that. Not like settings changes yet. We'll get to that later. But okay, for the most part, I think Halo 3, Halo 4, H2A, and Reach all function pretty much the way they should. I think those games played as good or better than they did on 360. Halo 1 and Halo 2, very, very different story. Yeah. I'm a big Halo 1 guy. It's my favorite game. So I play a lot of it. I feel blessed that I can play it online on MCC with good settings and play 4v4 and 8v8 Halo 1 whenever I want, because that was like Christmas morning for me back in 2003. Now I can have it whenever I want. But I want my fucking pistol to work, you know? Like, there are changes with this game that desperately still need to be made for it to be a respectable version of Halo 1. The pistol's wildly inconsistent right now, to where some games you'll get the bullet magnetism that you expect to get, and then other times, like, you'll have red reticle and your shots are just, like, it makes no sense where your bullets are landing, or you'll need to lead an absurd amount for no reason, and you won't know until after you've had a fight or two with that particular target. And it's not just on a game-to-game basis, it's on a player-to-player basis, where I need to lead against this guy but not against this guy, and it's so fucking frustrating. I don't know what needs to happen with the pistol. All I know is that it's just not functioning the way that it should, and it's not a pleasant experience when two good people play against each other, because that shit decides the winner more often than not. So it makes it really hard to take the game seriously. The next thing, probably the next most important thing with Halo 1 would be the teleporters are so utterly broken. Maps like Rat Race we had to take it out of the competitive map pool. We had to take it out of ranked, mostly because the teleporters are so fucking broken. Like, you can get trapped in a loop going back and forth to where you can't even escape the teleporter, because every time you try to move, it sends you to the other side, and you end up like facing the wrong direction and shit. Like, it's an absolute joke how broken they are. Mostly the two ways. The one ways aren't quite as bad, but man, it's rough, man. Maps like Rat Race suffer from it the worst, because they're very teleporter centric. Make the plasma weapons stun. I've been talking about this for a long time, but the plasma rifle and the plasma pistol, like, those were really fun weapons to use on LAN. And the game only has like 7 guns in the sandbox. That's 2 of them that don't even fucking work, man. They're just non-guns. It's a huge part of the game that's just been stripped out. The Ghost doesn't work the way it should, although it might be better for the game that the Ghost doesn't stun. But yeah, the PR and the plasma pistol, like, they're just meme tier weapons now, where they were actually really fun and useful on LAN. So yeah, that needs to fix, man. The game's only got like 7 guns. Come on. And one of them's the needler, which is unusable. Let's see. Spawn sounds in 2v2. If you're playing ranked 2v2, you can hear your enemies spawn. You can hear their little click of their weapons, especially because most people are playing with headsets now. And the radius of that spawn, first of all, the spawn sound shouldn't exist, period, but also the radius of it is huge. If you and your teammate are spread out across the map, you can either find or deduce where your enemies are spawning very, very quickly. And that's just a huge layer of awareness that gets taken away. It's horrible for the game. So I think some mods need to be made to the game. There's a precedent for it already. They've already given us no spread in ranked. Thank God. That was a fantastic change. But so we're already playing a slightly modified version of the game. Let's take it a little further and disable certain sounds that make the game less fun to play by giving undeserved awareness. Spawn sounds, switching weapons, picking up new weapons off the ground. These are things that we took out of the game in Neutral Host Edition. Like, for anybody that were to land Halo 1 now with, like, you know, experienced Halo 1 community, we're playing a modded version of the game with all these sounds taken out. So I would definitely like to see some of that come into play to lend some more integrity to ranked Halo 1. Some people really want to see a talking timer put in. They added the timer into the bottom right of your screen in Halo 1, which helps so much with timing weapons. I don't use a talking timer anymore, an external timer. I used to, but now I just got really comfortable with using the in-game timer. But like, if you were to land Halo 1, there's a talking timer in the game, and it counts down for you when things are going to spawn, so you can put all of your focus into how you're playing. And it's super helpful. Like, it's a joy to play with. I would love to see that get added into the game. I would love to see the timer on screen persist through death, because right now, if you die, like, within 5 seconds of stuff spawning, you don't really know exactly when it spawned, and it can influence your decisions. It can make you make a poor decision on spawn if you just don't know exactly when the cycle is. So, I mean, every other game lets you see how much time is left in the game when you're dead. It'd be nice if Halo 1 did as well. Especially it's arguably much more important in Halo 1 to be aware of the time at all times. I would really, really want to see, there's a glitch in Halo 1 where if you have camo lasts for 45 seconds. If you have camo and you're waiting on top of a new camo for your old one to expire so that you can just chain them together, your new camo won't show in third person. It'll look to other people like you just don't even have camo. But on your screen, it will look like you do. And so you can just totally fuck yourself over because you played too good. You know, if you're chaining camos in Halo 1, you're playing pretty well. And you literally you get punished for it right now. That glitch needs to get fixed. Okay. Yeah, some of the footstep sounds, on the same note as like the sounds earlier, some of these footstep sounds are unnecessary or they're too loud. Like, if I'm on the roof on Battle Creek, I can hear enemy footsteps walking around under me, and it just makes it trivially easy to find enemies. It should not be that easy. There's no skill in sound touring. Sorry. I know some people think there is. There's not. It makes the game boring. It makes certain flanks just impossible. It makes certain outplays impossible. I feel like anybody in favor of that, I feel like you are entitled to undeserved awareness. And if removing those sounds bothers you, you need to develop better awareness or better communication with your team, with your teammate, which you're probably not even talking to, because it's Xbox Live in 2020, so why would you talk to anyone, right? Let's see. Regarding the sound for picking up new weapons or switching weapons, I would be okay if those stayed in if the game gave you an option to mask that sound by meleeing. Now, what that would do if you were to switch weapons or swap weapons and then and melee immediately afterwards, no sound would occur unless you meleeed a wall, but it would take longer to get your new weapon up and ready to fire. So there's a trade-off there. I think that would work great, and I'd love to see it. What do we got? And then the assault rifle needs more consistency. I don't know if you've ever tried to kill a man from full health to nothing with an assault rifle, or been shot from full health to nothing with an assault rifle, but it's ridiculously inconsistent. Sometimes people will survive with no shield for like a third or a half of a clip, which just shouldn't happen if you're using it at the right range. Other times I'll be shieldless in red bar in what seems like under a second from somebody just charging up one of the tunnels on Prisoner, and I'm at the top of the ramp. And I'm like, how in the hell are you doing so much damage to me that quickly from that far away? It doesn't make any sense. The assault rifle's so inconsistent. I don't know how to fix it. All I know is that it needs to get fixed. Alright. On to Halo 2. The shot registration. Holy shit. Holy shit. I love Halo 2. I played that game for 3 years almost every day. It's a fantastic game. I hardly ever play it in MCC because the shot registration is so garbage. It's like it was never a prize on OG, but somehow it's worse now. It's just you routinely take 7 or 8 shots to kill somebody that should die in 4 because you're not missing. And you're in range and everything is right. Some people think if you improve or if you increase the bullet velocity, you'll get better hit registration. It's kind of a band-aid fix, but hey, if it works, it works. I don't care how you fix it, just please fix it. If there's a more elegant solution, sure, I don't care as long as it gets fixed. But the bullet velocity thing seems like a really fast way to do it, so we're not waiting more years for this to get fixed. The next thing, the melee registration is awful. That's one of the biggest reasons why I don't hardly ever play Halo 2 on MCC. Like BXRing and BXBing, and that's a really big part of the game. That's kind of how you separate yourself in Halo 2, is your close quarters game. And if half of your melees are just glancing off somebody like they're covered in Vaseline or some shit, like, what are we doing here? We're not playing the real game. It's a joke. It needs to be addressed. And then there's this other stuff that is relatively new to Halo 2, freshly broken. Things like the scoreboard not displaying correctly when you hold the back button, or your teammates' waypoints not showing up so that they look like they're enemies until you put your reticle over them. Like, when the hell did this happen? Like, we have new problems now, and it's awful. I think sometimes, like, if you were to play like Oddball or something, the objective waypoint doesn't show up sometimes. I think. Don't quote me on that, but I remember playing some Halo 2 Classic recently, and there were like all these new UI bugs that I had never seen before, and it's just so discouraging, man. Like, Halo 2 is the reason MCC even exists to begin with. It's supposed to be a 10-year anniversary for Halo 2, and it's the game that just gets shafted the hardest in this whole collection. It's really a shame. Alright, next thing. Give me a second. And then the only gameplay thing, the only gameplay change I really want to see in Halo 2 Anniversary.
Half a mile, keep left to stay on I-75 North.
Pardon the GPS. The only thing I really want to see changed in Halo 2 Anniversary, it's not even really like a patch. If this could be done in Forge, it would just require some effort, is some static weapon respawns. Like, the worst part of Halo 2 is the weapon respawn system. And
Keep left to stay on I-75 North.
And it's one of the only things that Halo 2 Anniversary was actually faithful to, unfortunately.
Continue on I-75 North for 77 miles.
It took out button combos. We have like grenade indicators now. It stripped a lot of the heart and soul of the game, but it kept the worst fucking part of the game when it has the power to not do that. You can go into Forge right now and make static weapon respawns for the game. It's to where you don't have to drop an empty weapon for it to start to be put on respawn again. We could have this all over the game and we're just not using it. That drives me insane. That's the last like change to games I would like to see. I'm gonna cut the video here and end up doing a third part where I talk about some game type settings that I'd like to see changed. I thought I'd be able to fit it into one video with what I've already talked about, but I'm kind of long-winded, so we'll try it again in a bit. Anyways, thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the next part.